Snapshot 25w32a has arrived with new copper variants of decorative blocks and a whole lot of bug fixes. My name is Sliced Lime and this is a showcase of all the changes. Let's start with the new blocks. A copper version of the torch has been added. It works just like the regular torch with the same light level, but has a green flame texture and particles. It is crafted like a regular torch but with a copper nugget on top. There's also a copper lantern. It is crafted with a copper torch surrounded by copper nuggets, and much like the torch, this one has the same light level as a regular lantern but a green flame texture. Copper lanterns also oxidize over time like other copper blocks and can be waxed and scraped as well. The chain block is now called Iron Chain, although the block still has the ID Minecraft:chain. This is to distinguish from a new type of chain, the copper chain. Like you might expect, this is crafted from copper nuggets and a copper ingot. When crafting hanging signs, you can now use either type of chain, or even one of each. Like other copper blocks, copper chain oxidizes over time and can be waxed and scraped. And finally, iron bars now have a new counterpart in copper bars, crafted using 6 copper ingots. They work just like iron bars and can connect to iron bars as well, and like other copper blocks they also oxidize and can be waxed and scraped. The Minecraft experts among you might now be objecting that the 6 copper ingots crafting recipe is the one for a copper trapdoor. And you'd be right. That crafting recipe has been changed to 4 copper ingots in a 2x2 pattern in this version. Copper golem statues have been updated in this version. They can now all be mined with any tool, and in addition, a copper golem statue will now drop as an item when pushed by a piston. And the oxidized versions of copper golems and their statue variants now have the correct pixels underneath their feet. A change in this version to the new shelves as well. Items on the shelf now sit lower, like if they were really sitting on the shelf. They're still smaller than on the shelves of the Bedrock Edition preview. The redstone tab of the creative inventory now only has the oak shelf rather than all the variants. Some gameplay bug fixes in this version. A whole bunch of things that were broken with pausing the game in the previous snapshots are now fixed. That includes drowning while the game was paused, freezing while the game was paused, elytra using up durability while paused, and getting set on fire if you paused while riding a strider. The freezing overlay also no longer flashes if you touch fire. Chunks loaded by ender pearls now properly keep loading those chunks when you die with the ender pearls vanish on death game rule set to off. You no longer take damage when blocking an attack that disables your shield, which had started happening in the previous snapshot. TNT minecarts now properly apply the source of their damage even when they explode from hitting something. And sheep now eat twice as frequently again, which they stopped doing 4 years ago when a bug was introduced. And dragon eggs can no longer teleport themselves outside of the height of the world and disappear. Entities moving multiple blocks in a single tick along a block diagonal now interact properly with blocks they pass through. And falling entities no longer miss triggering blocks they are in under very specific circumstances. Some visual changes. Baby mobs now have the appropriately sized shadows once again. The movements and positions of held items now works correctly once again. When fishing, the fishing line is now back to its old self again. The movements of high-speed projectiles now interpolates correctly. And some things which had become invisible are now shown again, including the top part of worn leg armor, parts of horse armor, parts of villager clothing layers, and the inner cubes of slimes. Some user interface fixes as well. The "You don't seem to have a realm" box now has the right background again. Dying and respawning in the same dimension no longer shows a brief loading screen. The closed captions box no longer obstructs the user interface of the inventory. And you can no longer spam click the continue button on the game's welcome screen to cause that screen to get stuck. In options news, the value of the sprint window slider is now properly saved. If you have the use item / place block action set to toggle, it is now more easy to leave a block inventory, and you can no longer use items while you have your inventory open. When the sneak option is set to toggle, you can no longer sneak while inside a UI screen. The F3 screen also has a number of fixes in this version. The debug crosshair is no longer rendered when in the third-person view. Pie chart entries now have their names again. The debug screen text now once again disappears if you turn off the user interface. The first number in the E counter is no longer stuck at 0, and the FPS is no longer affected by the server tick rate when the looking at block or looking at fluid options are turned on. And in stability news, a crash has been fixed involving items with certain components. Of course, this version also comes with technical news in Datapack version 83.0 and Resource Pack version 65.1, including the ability to use sprites inside text components. If you're also interested in that, keep your eyes on the channel for a separate video. But that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. To keep the copper like button from oxidizing, make sure to press it. You'll find it below the video. My name is Sliced Lime, and I'll see you next time.